Well, that question when used is a little hard from the standpoint is how used was it before you put it back out as used. But a typical machine will run, 10 to 15 years. We discussed on our on-premise side with Unimac, those are typically 20 to 30-year machines. Some of them we've supported even longer. So there's a range of life expectancy of the machines. But if we were to bring a used machine in and we were to rebuild it, we're going to put in new bearings in the machine. We're putting in new drain valves. We're putting in new water valves. We're putting in new belts. We're able to effectively really rebuild that machine. You could expect another 10 or 15 years out of that machine. The frames are solid steel. So if they haven't had chemicals spilled on them where they've been eaten away, we can redeploy those machines for a significant period of time. I would argue that our existing laundromat owners, if they could buy all used, that's what they would probably prefer a majority of the time just because of cost. So yes, if you could get good used, gently used machines, that would be extremely preferred. The problem is that, let's face it, laundry equipment isn't just traded in every 5, 6, 7 years. Like let's say you've got the new Cadillac and the newest one came out, so you're going to get rid of that one, you're going to get the new one. That doesn't happen on the laundry equipment side. They use them until they fall apart. They're costing them so much they can no longer continue to own them. Then they get out of them. So the supply of that is limited. Now, we do have repos from when we finance equipment that can come, but again, that's hit or miss. We could sell every machine that we got our hands on, that it would be in that late model where it's 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. But most of the time, they're 15 to 20 years old, and the parts are obsolete, and it's hard to support them, and the machines are so worn out. By the time we put all the parts back into them, they're basically to the cost of a new machine. So it's always a real challenge to supply that at the price that makes sense for everybody, and for us to be able to make a few bucks to be able to stay in business. So, yeah, I would love to have a warehouse full of good used equipment, but if you're listening, trade your equipment in and we'll make a deal. Yeah, here's going to be interesting. I'm going to flip that on you. A hotel, they'll start running those machines 6 or 7 in the morning. They'll run them continuously to maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. So those machines don't stop. They go and go and go. And that's the reason we typically sell a little bit more expensive brand that has longer longevity, that's going to have fewer breakdowns because those uses so great. A laundromat, if we could, a typical, what we call turn, how many turns a day does it have? 3 to 5 turns a day is good. They're not being used 7 or 8 times, they're being used 3 to 5. Those machines don't need to be quite as rugged, but they are still being used pretty hard. That's the reason we're not seeing what we call top load washers, kind of more, which is what we call small chassis machines, not being used. One, they're not cost effective in terms of utilities, and also you're 5 to 6, 7 years on them and they're destroyed and out of there. So just like a diesel truck, you can put 500, million miles on those plus, where your Ford pickup, maybe 200,000 or 300,000, it's done, right? So there's different machines for different needs based on what the demand is.